Alrighty, I found this MAKE EUROPA Snow channel, I don't know, about a year or so ago. But recently, some of the stuff she's been saying kind of ticked me off. So let's begin. I don't care how you feel about us white women. You all need to put your hatred aside. I think she's referring to white men. For us white women, and to start thinking about yourselves, your families, and our white nation's future. Well, the reason why white men don't get involved when white women are being diversified, they know that if they interfere, they'll get in trouble. They'll be the ones with their lives ruined. It's getting out of effing control now. You have left your white nations wide open for non-whites to invade and roam free in our white countries. Who opened the gates of white nations? Oh, right. Politicians who got elected by women like who?
We all have to think in terms of the one world, one humanity. And we all have international obligations to fulfill if it's going to be a peaceful world for everybody.
Do you think we should take as many as we can fit in?
Yes, I do, most definitely. And that I think that we should cooperate in many ways to make sure that the needs of these people are fulfilled.
What about the racial tension that might well be created here as a result?
Well, I think that we have to implement new education schemes into the schools to change people's attitudes.
Change people's attitudes, aka brainwashing. Get 'em young, get 'em for life. So yeah, this is the one major gripe I have with this woman in the picture. She blames white men for all this invasion. No, it was white women. White women don't vote on facts. They don't vote on logic or common sense. They vote based on their emotions. And the women got all emotional seeing all the POC children starving and all this. And they said, oh, well, we gotta help them. And then the government said, okay, we'll let them in. She continues, don't bother blaming white women for this. Yeah, I think I will. Our white nations have always been in controlled by white men. For hundreds of years, yeah, white nations were controlled by white men. Keyword there, were. Now, in my opinion, she has her own, but in my opinion, corporations bought out politicians to get favors from those politicians. And then, surprise, surprise, women are allowed into the workforce. What does this do? More income tax, right? And when you flood the market, labor market, with more labor, the price for labor goes down, right? Which is good for the corporations, if I'm not mistaken. And then what happens? Oh, birth rate tanks. I wonder why. Oh, right. Women are too busy becoming boss babes and such, careers and university and etc. So how do they fix this? Well, bring in immigrants. I hear the left say a lot that corporations take advantage of immigrants by paying them less. Okay, well then that's great for corporations then, isn't it? Now, my tinfoil hat theory, they did it on purpose. Because what happens when you trick women into the workforce? Birth rate tanks. Duh. This would allow corporations to say, hey, well, we got to let in immigrants because Westerners aren't having enough kids. In fact, the U.S. literally had a politician who said that.
And America is not having enough babies to keep our populations up. So we need immigrants that have been vetted to do work.
So yeah, Americans aren't having enough babies. Why? Because the corporations tricked women into the workforce. In 1963, John F. Kennedy signed an Equal Pay Act because female employees were paid less than their male employees for the same job. Gee, corporations were probably really ticked off at him about that. And then what? In 1965, the Hart-Celler Act was passed, and they started letting in people from third world countries, shall we say. And there's the corporate's next cheap labor source, right? So what if it has demographic consequences. Gotta get that cheap labor. Now this woman, her opinion is the Jays were allowed into white nations and they were allowed to take over the governments. Do I think Jays have lots of influence in Western politics? Yes. The US most of all. Case in point, Iran war, maybe? Do I think they want to destroy the Western world from within? I'm going to do an X to doubt on that. And why? The Western world supports Israel. Chief among them, the US. And the population in the US that supports Israel the most is the Christcucks. The Christcucks are majority white. So if the Israel or the Jays were plotting some downfall of the white people, they would lose their support, their backbone really. Because what other nation will support them? China doesn't like religion. Why would India help them? White people, all the Jays have to do is bring up the holly, and then white people, well, Christcucks, go, oh, we gotta help Israel. They're God's chosen people. So, yeah, I don't prescribe to that Jay theory of hers. The one that makes more sense to me, corporations control everything, aka the government. So the government and their corporate masters are like, which group is most likely to rebel against our control? Well, white people have a history of rebelling, so how do we minimize this threat? Hey, let's flood white countries with immigrants, and then we'll brainwash all the POC people with slogans like the evil white male patriarchy to turn every other group against white people, even, more importantly, white people themselves, by turning white women against white men. So in summary, I get why that woman is so upset. She sees that she's literally losing the country of her ancestors and of her people, so I understand why she's upset. But when you start being very vulgar like that, it's a real turnoff for people. It's better to be calm, cool, and collected. Anyway, that's it for my thoughts on this ramble. I would have put some of her videos in, but even in the articles, there's a lot of F-bombs and stuff, and YouTube doesn't like that. And you top that off with the racial component, that'd probably be a strike for me. Maybe I'll make a part 2 of that. Maybe. I don't know. Well, anyway, take care out there in Clown World.